tell us about the new Bryan Iguchi Pro. What were like the major updates that you had? Like what's the biggest changes? What should people expect?
Okay. Well, I wanted to stay true to the original concept, and it was like a lot of things were like kind of the practical things that I picked up on, like, for just I'll start with the stance, like, I got I designed the board and then I would just like realize that I'd set my stance back all the time. It was always all the way back or, you know, very close. So, and I was kind of always set up behind the the side cut. I was behind the grip tech, and I was like, I got to just shift that back. So we worked on that, and I made those adjustments according to my stance that I was constantly referencing. So, we adjusted that. We added a little bit of width to the board, and we softened it up a little bit, and adjusted the flex, to be more, you know, I think accommodating to, just to be a little bit more playful. I think I always really loved stiff boards, all throughout my career. And I think by experimenting with the Satori, I realized that you get away with a lot less stiffness. It actually brings, you know, it brings a little bit of I guess playfulness to the board that I really like. It allows you to get away with a little bit more. It doesn't, it's just not so harsh. It's kind of like having really good suspension on a mountain bike or something. A little bit. It gives a little bit. So with all these changes, it feels like magic to me. I really have been just amazed at how just some what seems to be subtle changes, make a big difference. It's not an extreme departure from where it was, but it is, I think a more modern feeling.
What's it meant to ride? How does the snowboard feel to ride?
It's really like like a Swiss Army knife of snowboards. In my opinion, it's like kind of a multi-tool. It's all mountain. It's designed for you know all aspects of snowboarding for me personally. And I think that if you could bring one board on a trip, that's the board.
Can you tell us about the graphic and story behind it?
It started with feeling this connection to the land, where I live and ride. And, I felt like the Bison Bones was like a really good, you know, I think it just captured the feeling, that I get. There's something, that inspires, a timeless feel, something that's connected to this environment, and something that, I feel represents just kind of the vibe, I guess.